So the Bible opens with two stories or accounts of how God created mankind. Uh, a previous video, I explored the first account, and I'll add a link below after this video is done. A summary of that account, though, it is that, and this is in Genesis 1, is that God created the male and the female versions of mankind to equally bear his image. And then he blessed the male and the female versions of mankind to multiply and subdue creation. That's just a summary. This video is going to explore the second version of God creating mankind, and this is found in Genesis chapter 2. It begins in verse 7, which states this: Then the Lord God formed the man of dust from the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living creature. All right, the creation of uh, the male version of mankind is interesting because everything that God had created previously, he spoke those things into existence. And that's all living creatures: dogs, cats, fish, birds, whatever, all living creatures. God spoke into existence. He also spoke into existence the mountains, the trees, the grass, the heavens, the seas, all that. He spoke all that into existence. But for the male version, he used those physical things that he spoke into existence. He used the physical of that, in this case, dust, to form the man. And then he made man a living creature by breathing into the man. And the original Hebrew uses the word ruah, right, which is also interpreted as the Spirit of God. So, in some fashion, God breathed his spirit into the formed man in order to bring the man to life. Uh, well, like the man, the woman or the female version of mankind was also not spoken into existence, but created from a physical, pre-existing physical form. Genesis 2 verses 21 and 22 explain how. Those verses state, So the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon the man, and while he slept, took one of his ribs and closed up its place with flesh. And the rib that the Lord God had taken from the man, he made into a woman and brought her to the man. So the woman was not created from dust like the man was. She was created from the man. And English translations state that a rib from the man was used in order to make the woman. Now, God is all powerful. He can make everything from anything. After all, he spoke the rest of creation into existence. But there are some Hebrew studies organizations that make the claim the English translation of God using a man's rib is an inaccurate translation. And this is why they say that, because the original Hebrew word used is selah. And according to these Hebrew organizations, selah can be interpreted as rib, but it also can be interpreted as side, as in the side of a mountain or a side of the Ark of the Covenant. So, according to those organizations, what God really did was to split the man in half, or at least his vital organs. But think of God splitting the man in half and then leaving one half male and the other half female. Um, and let's assume that the original Hebrew is just that, and that the English translations may be misinterpreting this idea of rib, but in fact that God used a side of man in order to make the female. In other words, if that's the case, she is one half of mankind, right? Uh, and remember, mankind is the only creation that bears God's image. But if she's a side of the man, then she's one half of mankind. She is an equal and necessary component for mankind to fully bear God's image, right? Another way to think about it is that a woman needs a man in order to fully bear the image that she was created uh, to become. Likewise, a man needs a woman to become the full image bearer that he was created to be. This makes sense when considering Genesis 1, verse 28, when God blesses and commands his image bearers to be fruitful and multiply. The only way a man and a woman can multiply is to form a bond and be fruitful. so, uh, it kind of makes sense. I like the Hebrew translation of using a side of man rather than a rib. It just makes more sense to me. Well, the reasons why God created the male and the female versions of mankind differently are going to be discussed in the next video. So if you want to hear the rest of the story, go ahead and subscribe to this channel, and so you can get the next video and know what it is. If you've made it this far, go ahead and hit the like button. There's obviously something that you liked about this video. If you're feeling bold, leave a comment. A, I'd love to read them, and B, I will respond to any comments that you make. My name is Ray Dillman, and I steward the Disciple Warriors Ministry. If you'd like to mm, read in-depth discussions like this sort of video, uh, go ahead and order your copy of the Disciple Warriors Handbook. You can find it through most major retailers. Um, May God bless your journey in becoming the man that He created you to be.